Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 22nd of April, now it's half past 11, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with Crimea because we have some reports that Russian air defense systems were activated this morning, and we have statement from head of Crimean Republic, Sergei Aksyonov, according to which no one was wounded and no damage was done on the ground. Same time, Aksyonov did not share any additional information about how many targets was hit by Russian air defense systems or in which area. All we know for now is that no one was wounded, no damage was done, and Russian air defense systems did work perfectly well. Let's continue with some other news, and according to this is TASS News Agency's report, which is based on statements from head of PMC Wagner, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and according to statements from Prigozhin, Zelensky's regime may conduct some offensive or counteroffensive operations no earlier than next 10 days, and this is due to hard weather conditions. I did report a few days ago that this year may be record-breaking for Ukraine when it comes to rainfall, and many roads, especially country roads, are almost unpenetratable. It's rivers of mud on the roads, and let me show you this. I did share this video footage on my Telegram channel this morning. This is Ukraine, by the way, and as you can see, Leopard 2 tanks and M113 armored personnel carrier, if I'm not mistaken, are trying to move through this river of mud. In such conditions, of course, it's practically impossible to conduct some fast armored movements or offensive operations, and according to weather forecast, at least 10-15 days weather not gonna change very much. That's at least. So Prigozhin definitely is correct. And by the way, I also share this morning this video. That's what is happening to Western equipment that has been delivered to Zelensky's regime. This is, as I understand, Krab self-prepared artillery system, which was sent to Zelensky's regime by Poland. So, yes, Prigozhin is definitely correct. I don't think Zelensky's regime will be able to conduct some large-scale counteroffensive operation in next 10 days. I did predict quite some time ago that in my reading of big picture, I think Zelensky's regime will probably be able to conduct offensive operations somewhere in the middle of May, but not before end of April, for sure. Let's see how it will go. So this is RIA Novosti's report, and now we are seeing statements from Zelensky's regime with acknowledgement of Russian success when it comes to Artyomovsk. It's same as Bakhmut. So we have statement from deputy of Ukraine's defense minister Anna Malyar, and according to her information, Russian side is managing to conduct not just offensive operations, but also to establish some new positions in Artyomovsk. And basically, this is first time that we are seeing in previous days when Zelensky's regime is basically openly are saying that they are losing battle for Bakhmut. I believe these kind of statements have been made to prepare ground, to prepare society basically in Ukraine for inevitable, which is fail of Bakhmut garrison, Ukrainian garrison of Bakhmut. As you know, if you watch Ukrainian TV channels or Ukrainian media, it's all good there. They are winning the war. So fail of Bakhmut under full Russian control will definitely will be received by at least some part of Ukrainian society as a shocking information. So I believe Ukrainian Defense Ministry is now step by step preparing ground for inevitable, because it's only a matter of days and the Russian side will definitely establish full control over the Bakhmut. And this is next news. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Denis Pushilin, head of DPR, Russian forces managed to repel 4 offensive operations of Zelensky's regime in previous day, and some of those offensives were in direction of Bakhmut. As you know, Russian side established direct control over this road here, which is connecting Bakhmut with the Khramova and then to Chisov Yar. This pro-Ukrainian map is not acknowledging this, but as I understand, Russian side has direct control over the some parts of this road. There are different reports. According to some reports, Russian side controls about 300 meters of this road. Some reports saying it's 500 meters. Hard to confirm any of this information. I'm not there, but I believe Zelensky's regime did try to unblock this road unsuccessfully, and if that's the case, then situation for Bakhmut garrison, what is left from Bakhmut garrison, is unchanged. They are in desperate situation, and basically best they can at this stage is to surrender. They should surrender a long time ago, but right now best decision of their lives will be to surrender or retreat if they will find a way to retreat safely. It's not going to be easy because all roads are under Russian control, and these fields between Bakhmut and Chisov Yar under Russian artillery control, and this is open terrain. So if Bakhmut garrison will try to retreat in mass, they're not going to find any points, any places where they can hide from Russian artillery, really. When it comes to Bakhmut itself, according to latest information, the Russian forces, PMC Wagner units, did manage to conduct some offensive operation from train station here, and now they are pushing in direction of this military base that was former. Some say it's former military base. Some said it was active before start of special military operation. In any case, this area here, it's a military base, and the Russian side is moving forward from railway line in direction of this base, and these few roads are under Russian control right now, and same is happening in the northern part. I did predict yesterday that PMC Wagner units will probably try to cut off the entire this northern part, and join forces, Russian forces that are conducting operations in Khramova, in direction of Khramova, and basically exactly this is happening right now, and maybe during the day or maybe in next, let's say, 24 hours, Russian forces will manage to join forces somewhere around Khramova. And under control of Zelensky's regime will be left just this little part here. Just this little part. And just imagine how big concentration of Ukrainian armed forces are in this small area, because there are different reports. Some reports say it's up to 10,000, some say even more, 15,000. But in my understanding, if not 10 and 15, Zelensky's regime probably have at least 3,000 to 5,000 soldiers trapped in this small pocket here inside the Bakhmut. When it comes to overall situation on the front line, it's Usual stuff. Donetsk direction is very active. Yesterday I did share videos on my Telegram channel with a huge column of Russian armored vehicles, including tanks, and they were moving in direction of Marinka. So maybe in coming days we will see some big offensive in this direction. Maybe same time some fighting is going on, of course, in and around Avdiivka. Bakhmut is hot point, and of course Seversk. But yet again, I believe Russian side will wait before situation will be resolved around Bakhmut, and after that we will probably see activization of Russian forces in direction of Seversk, in direction of Kupiansk, in direction of Avdiivka, Marinka, and maybe even in Zaporozhye region, because yesterday we had reports that Russian forces did conduct some successful operations, local scale operations, in direction of Ugledar, for example. And this is despite the fact that almost everyone in this world is waiting for beginning of counteroffensive, large-scale counteroffensive of Zelensky's regime, which may never come really. There are some quite interesting reports are coming in, according to which one may start doubting possibility that Zelensky's regime even will be able to conduct any large-scale counteroffensive. So let's continue with some other news now, and this is TASS news agency's report, according to which, and this news is based on statements from Vladimir Rogov, official from Zaporozhye region, and according to him, Zelensky's regime, forces that are loyal to Zelensky, did use chemical weapons in Zaporozhye direction, and one soldier was poisoned. As you know, this is not the first case that we are hearing these kind of reports that Zelensky's regime is using chemical weapons. Maybe these kind of situations are not recorded and in mass, but because of so many reports that in different areas of the front line, Zelensky's regime did use chemical weapons, probably, I believe it's true. And after this conflict will end, probably we will learn who was behind these chemical strikes and who is directly responsible. And Russian secret services will, I believe, they will at least try to hunt them down. Whenever they're gonna hide, they will be hunted down and brought to justice, because that should happen. Let's continue, and this is TASS news agency's report, according to which Russian Foreign Ministry did make statements about Chinese peace initiatives, and Russian Foreign Ministry thinks it's quite possible to use Chinese peace platform, which, if you remember, of course you remember, was based on 12 points. So Russian Foreign Ministry thinks that it's possible that sides that are involved in this conflict, directly or indirectly, can use this platform to conduct in some foreseeable future some peaceful negotiations. But I believe this is just diplomatic stand of Russian side, because of course everyone in Moscow, in China, and just in every other country knows that as long as Washington and London are not willing to talk about peace, there will be no peace in Ukraine, because Zelensky is under full control of Washington. Zelensky and his henchmen are under full control of Washington, and they will do whatever they are told to do. And as you know, officials from Biden's administration and officials in United Kingdom did stated many times that it's not the time now, according to them, to conduct some peaceful negotiations. On its own, this kind of statements is a crime, really, against humanity. But that's what they are stating openly, and that's what you're gonna do about it. Let's continue, and by the way, I believe position of Washington and London will change only when Russian side will achieve a decisive victory. Only then Western elites will come to the terms that they have lost. And this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which, and this report is based on New York Times article, according to which Zelensky's regime is delaying counteroffensive because they are lacking some heavy military equipment. And once again, these kind of statements, of course, we all know that these big names in Western media, they all work on the CIA or on the Pentagon. And whenever they are making these kind of statements, they used to be respectful media outlets. Don't get me wrong. Decades ago, these were New York Times, Washington Post, some British media outlets. They were very, very respectful media sources, but not anymore. Probably we will agree on this. And when New York Times, for example, is writing that Zelensky's regime is lacking weapons to conduct counteroffensive, probably this is once again preparation of the ground for inevitable, which is defeat of Zelensky's regime. And when I see this kind of articles, especially in the Western media, I do automatically think that there may be no counteroffensive for Zelensky's regime whatsoever. Because Russian side are ready to repel any counteroffensive from Zelensky's regime, and there will be no situations like in Kharkov region did happen when Russian side did the retreat or regroup, call it whatever you like, or when Russian side did exactly the same from right bank of the Kherson. Now it's a different situation. Russian side is ready to repel any possible counteroffensive, and after that even conduct offensive operations on its own. So maybe some generals, some free four-star generals in US are finally achieving to bring to some reality Biden administration, and to realize that this counteroffensive, if Zelensky's regime will do such stuff, will be suicidal. But yet again, that's just my guess. But whenever I see this kind of information, I read it as a preparation of the ground for inevitable, which is defeat of Zelensky's regime first of all. And when it comes to counteroffensive itself, there may be no counteroffensive. No matter how much Biden administration wants to see counteroffensive, because they are desperate. As you know, internal situation in US not in favor of so-called Democrats, neoliberal fascists really, and they need some good news, but they aren't receiving any good news from anywhere nowadays, and that's why they are pushing Zelensky's regime so hard to conduct some counteroffensive. But from military standpoint, and I believe US do have professional generals who will say, if they are asked, that any counteroffensive from Zelensky's regime will be suicidal mission, because that's true. Okay, let's continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Denis Pushilin, head of DPR, stated that Russian suicide drone Lancet, kamikaze drone Lancet, is show itself as a very, very formidable weapon, and Lancet drones were used very effectively on the front line by Russian forces, and you cannot argue with this information. I decided to share with you this information because I said I share many times on my Telegram channels, tens of times, maybe hundreds of times, videos where Lancet kamikaze drones are attacking Ukrainian military equipment. And basically, Russian side is hunting down Ukraine's artillery systems, with especially artillery systems, with the Lancets, and they truly are very effective. When this conflict will end, and analytics and experts will start writing a story of this conflict, probably Lancet will be one of the most effective weapons that Russian side deploy on the front line. Among with 1090M main battle tank, for example, Kinjal missile, of course, it was used quite a few times, hypersonic missile, and some other military weapons, Ka-52 helicopters, of course, you are familiar, I believe, with that helicopter. So yes, Lancet definitely will be among the most effective Russian weapons that were deployed on the front line. Let's continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which United States will start to train Ukrainian tankers to operate with the Abrams MBT in coming weeks. As you know, and training program will be 10 weeks. Of course, we all understand 10 weeks is not enough to truly know how to operate Abrams tanks, but these informations are just cloud. These informations are cloud because they are stating that, we start training Ukrainians to operate Leopard tanks, to operate Abrams tanks, Challenger tanks, but that's they are reporting this to have a plausible deniability on their hands, because we all understand that, for example, Leopard 2 tanks that have been sent to Ukraine will be operated, if not all of them, at least majority of them will be operated by NATO military personnel. Those militaries may be released from army for some time and put on payroll of some PMCs, yet again for plausible deniability, but we all do understand that it's just impossible to learn how to operate just any battle tank, really, or any complicated military equipment in 10 weeks time. And it's just it's laughable. It's laughable what those statements that Western elites are making, but yet again, this is enough for them for plausible deniability. But when it comes to tanks itself, as you know, Washington did announce that they will deliver to Zelensky's regime 31 M1A1 Abrams MBTs, and in next month or two, before end of summer, these tanks probably will be delivered, but situation for that time may be very different, than it is now. There may be no Zelensky in office for that time, for example. Just a guess, but maybe before end of the summer, some other people will run Ukraine, not Zelensky. Let's continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which UK's defense ministry did stated that they already train about 14,000 Ukrainian soldiers, and before end of 2023, this number will rise up to 20,000. No surprises there, and I believe many thousands of those soldiers that was trained by Zelensky's regime, by London, by UK's military, have been sent to Bakhmut by Zelensky's regime, and probably many of them find the last day in that city. So 14,000 in theory, this is 3-4 brigades, but from these 3-4 brigades, probably half of them are already destroyed in Bakhmut. Because if you remember, quite a few weeks ago we had reports that Zelensky's regime did send in direction of Bakhmut forces that was getting training in the West, in UK also. So let's continue. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Spain did send to Ukraine first 6 Leopard 2 tanks from 10 that was promised. Once again, I don't really understand why Spain is involving itself with this anti-Russian war that Western elites are conducting. Spain and Russia, like 5-7 years ago, did had quite good relationships, and why they destroyed it all, I just don't get it. But as a fact, they are sending offensive military equipment to Zelensky's regime, and I believe Moscow will remember this. And someday Spain will need some help, and Moscow will probably remind them of their actions, of their anti-Russian, Russophobic and criminal actions. Of course, this Leopard 2 tanks not going to change nothing on the front line, but it's just sad that these countries that, a few years ago I was considering among friendly ones, like Italy, like Spain, and many others, Greece, for God's sake, man. Greece. It's sad to see that elites of those countries are acting such a way that our countries are, not on the friendly terms no more. Countries, I'm not talking about societies. We ordinary people will find common ground anyway, but countries definitely are not on the friendly terms because of the actions of elites of those countries. And that's sad, really. Because when it comes to tanks itself, of course, no one is happy that Spain, for example, did send those Leopards to Zelensky's regime. But we all understand that those tanks don't really change anything strategically when it comes to conflict in Ukraine. This information is for clown world. When of course Alex Cristoforo, and he does clown world, and this information is perfect for that clown world, because Latvia, according to TASS report, Latvia did send to Zelensky's regime all the manpads, Stinger manpads that they had in the inventory. You tell me who they are. Who are those so-called elites that are running or ruling in Latvia? They left their own country without manpads, and same time these idiots, man, these truly idiots, man, are almost on daily basis saying that Russia is a threat for them, and Russia may invade, and the rest of the crap. So which one is it then? If you're saying that Russia is gonna invade, how come that you are sending all your manpads and almost all your military equipment to Zelensky's Nazi regime? What are you doing? But they are crazy, man. They are crazy. You cannot take these idiots seriously, man. Especially when it comes to Baltic states, man. Elites in that countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, they are truly sick, mentally sick, and they need some medical treatment. Absolutely. Let's continue, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which Bakhmut garnison, what is left from Bakhmut garnison, whenever they are retreating, they are leaving behind vast quantities of military equipment and ammunition, whatever they have really. And there are some video footage about it. This is RIA Novosti's report, and to be honest, it's quite understandable, because situation for Bakhmut garrison is such a difficult that probably all they think now is how to save their lives. So they don't really care about ammunition and weapons that they left. They are just trying to save their lives, and probably are looking for ways how to do so. So yes, not surprising that Russian side, whenever PMC Wagner units are establishing control over the different areas, they are finding some ammunition and some weapons that was just left behind by Bakhmut garrison. So this is also interesting news. Let me check how long is this video. 30 minutes. Okay. So this is also interesting news. I did share this information on my Telegram channel. And according to RIA Novosti, French newspaper Le Monde did write article in which information was provided that France said no to Ukraine, to Zelensky's regime, to provide digital maps of Belarus. Those digital maps will be used by Zelensky's regime to conduct some operations on territory of Belarus, because those maps are such precise that they will give any side that has them good opportunity to fly drones or aircraft with a high level of safety on the low altitude, because you can see on those maps power lines, buildings, and just everything really. And those maps are updated regularly from by data from satellites. So of course Zelensky's regime will use this map against Belarus. As we know, Zelensky's regime already did conduct some sabotage missions on Belarusian soil, and surprisingly, if this report from Le Monde is correct, France denied request, and well done, good for France, because they are already did destroy relationships with Russia and Belarus enough. And after all conflicts eventually will end with negotiations, and sides should be able to talk to each other. And maybe someone in France elite, French elites, are realizing this. So let's continue. This is also quite interesting. TASS news agency is reporting about statements that head of NATO Stoltenberg did made. According to him, all NATO member states are supporting Ukraine to join NATO. Once again, it's a long time now that this person, Stoltenberg, cannot be taken seriously. Day by day he is making some crazy statements, and this one is not exception, because when we are talking about NATO members, it's 31 members in NATO now, if I'm not mistaken. And when Hungary, for example, did said that they are supporting Ukraine to become NATO member, did they ever said that? Or will Turkey support this kind of decision? I don't think so. So they are openly lying, man. They are, not shy to just come up and openly say some crazy lies, because, they control entire media in the West, isn't it? And the only way for societies to have some other sources of information to, at least balance news that they are receiving It's independent channels on YouTube, Rumble, and some other platforms, and not everyone is using those platforms, isn't it? And that's why these idiots in the Western elites are not really shying to come up and say some crazy statement, because they know there is no left, that there are no media outlets left to say that, you know what, you are lying. So public in the West probably do believes whatever they are hearing from Deutsche Welle, BBC, and just France 24 and the rest of them. When it comes to Europe, or CNN, MSNBC, and some other crap in the USA. So let's continue. And this is quite interesting. Russian foreign ministry said that Moscow may reconsider its position when it comes to deploying long-range missiles to its western, middle and long-range missiles in its western borders. Well, this information should be taken seriously once again by Western elites, but I don't think they are able to analyze any information that they are receiving. Because just recently, as you know, Russian side made decision to deploy nuclear weapons to Belarus, and now we are hearing reports that Russian side may reconsider its position when it comes to deployment of middle and long-range missiles to its western borders. So that's quite a warning shots, isn't it? That's warnings, man, that Russia is officially, openly giving to Western elites. But are they capable to listen and understand what they have been told? I don't know. And two more news, and this is it. Yesterday afternoon, I did see this information. I did share on my Telegram channel, if I'm not mistaken. So according to latest poll numbers, that was conducted from 10th to 16th of April, 80% of society do support Russian President Vladimir Putin, 80.1% to be precise. So trust to Putin did rise little bit from previous poll, but yet again, I mean, it's not surprise to anybody really that Putin has high ratings of approval, not just in Russia, but in many other countries, also all around the world. Like it or hate it, but that's the case. So this is gonna be last news for this update. According to TASS news agency, Russian side is preparing to deliver to Kenya and Nigeria for free some fertilizers. So there will be two deliveries of separate deliveries of fertilizers to Kenya and Nigeria, and Russia will do it for free to support these countries. So yes, well done. That's how Russia should conduct itself. No, because that's the right way, man. Money is necessary, of course, to operate in this life, but you should always keep in mind some humanitarian aspects of this life, because this is even more important. So yes, well done, good decision. I support these kind of actions from Moscow. So this is it for now. If any very important developments, of course, I will make second update today. And yes, if you find this video interesting, please consider to subscribe. If you are not subscribed to my channel, hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, And if you can, please share links to my videos with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And in the end, if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. So yes, this is it for now. Have a great weekend and take care.